Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you're tuning in from. I'm so grateful for life and very excited to welcome you to yet another edition of the Forex Morning Mastery with Sheriff Daramola. Well, it has been quite a very interesting 24 hours, and as we have been seeing some traction in favor of the US dollar across some of the pairs that we have been monitoring, but it's only the XAUUSD which has been a little bit imbalanced in the last 24 hours. So we are going to be going into that detail to see how we are going to be managing our position. Well, I've already conducted a comprehensive price action based technical analysis on all of these assets in preparation for this morning, and I'm thrilled to share with you what I was able to come up with and how we are going to position ourselves ahead of both the London and the New York session. But for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you will definitely have gotten this update and have an idea of what we are going to be doing. But we are going to be delving into this in detail during this session. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome. I'm always excited to have newcomers in the house, anyways. You might be asking, what are we doing here? Well, what we do here is a follow up detail to my previous top down analysis on the assets on our watch list for the week. And these are the USDJPY, the USOilSPOT, XAUUSD, and of course the GBPUSD. So I normally share this during the course of the weekend, and upon the beginning of the week we come here every morning to do a follow-up detail on that analysis and see how we can position ourselves strategically ahead of both the London and the New York session. So this is simply what we do on a daily basis, and we focus mainly on the 1 hour time frame. So if you do want to have a background knowledge of how we got to the point, how we got to the structures you will be seeing on the chat this morning, then I would advise you to watch those videos, and the links to those videos are right in the description box of this current video, so you can check them out after the session, and it will also help you to have an educational background on how to use your price action to identify potential trading opportunities. So once again, you are welcome on board. Now, before we kickstart, I will really appreciate some feedbacks. I would love to see if the sound is good. I've spent quite a lot of time trying to ensure that the settings are quite all right. Please let me know in the comment section if we have any issues at all, or if things are going quite fine. Please, I would really appreciate your feedback in that regard. So with that being said, here we shall be diving right into the business. And as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing is to check on the economic calendar. Of course, we do want to have a keep tabs with the fundamental aspect of the market, and of course, this will help us to be able to understand what majority in the market are looking forward to. And in fact, these fundamental factors often manifest on the charts in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and, of course, specific technical patterns, hereby giving us the leverage to position ourselves in such a way that we can catch any of these trading moves prior, during, and even after the event. Now, on the economic calendar, my oh my, I'm yet to. I don't know what happened here. I just saw that my. Okay, let's bring it up. So, what we normally do here is to focus. I normally use the FX Street as my economic calendar tool, and what we normally focus on are high impact event coming in from the economic docket that will be affecting the currencies on our watch list. And of course, these are the US, the UK, and of course, the Japanese economy. So we are going to be focusing on this week. So just filter that in, and then we focus on high impact events. And of course, for today, Tuesday, August 8th, there are no high impact event affecting any of the assets on our watch list for today. So can we take it a little bit down by including the middle impact event? Let's see what we have. Okay, so if there is something, okay, let me just do this. So we should, okay, so for today, Tuesday, August 8th, Aka is going to be having a speech today again. And Patrick Aka is the 11th president and chief executive officer of the 3rd District Federal Reserve Bank. So he's going to be having a speech today. He serves as an alternate voting member of the Federal Open Market Committee, which of course, whatever he says today will give an insight into the monetary policies of the Fed, and of course an insight into the health situation of the United States. And of course, you remember we had this issue with the Fitch rating, which happened last week, where the US credit was dropped by a point, I think A plus now, compared to the previous, which was a triple A, and that has also dented the face of the US dollar a little bit on that one too. Then we're also having Barkett's speech coming up later today. He is the 8th president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. So we're going to be looking forward to what he is going to present. So these events are coming up in about 3 to 4 hours from now, which of course could give us some price movement. Let's hope so. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the chart. Let's look at things from a technical standpoint and see how we want to position ourselves ahead of the London and the New York session today. So I see your comments, James Okori. Good morning to you, James. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your feedback. Thanks a lot. So let's go into the first financial asset for today. And as usual, we are going to be taking on the USOilSPOT. And I think we have been selling yesterday, right? During our live session, exactly. I think we have been selling the US oil yesterday, and we were looking forward to a retest. I was saying something here yesterday that for those who had missed out on this opportunity, that we should see if the market will come back to retest that zone. So we highlighted the zone between the $82.20 level and of course the $82 area, where we said a retest or multiple rejection of that zone by the sellers will welcome selling opportunities. That is, if you had missed out on that one, this would be an opportunity for you to join the second move, and that was exactly what happened here. Initially, I was thinking that we could have, because of the continued buy pressure around this area, and of course that level had a memory for buying power, and because of this we need to be very wary of what happens here, as we would need a breakdown of that structure to give us a signal that truly sellers will be coming in to dictate the pace, at least for the first half of the week. I think I shared this during my second session, and I of course shared this session on my public platform afterwards, and I hope you watched it to have an idea of how to capitalize on that opportunity around that area. Well, for those who are taking advantage of this opportunity, well done to you, as you will have a minimum of about 150 pips if you had only taken one position, and if you had added more positions to your existing trade, then you definitely have another 85 pips. So you'll be running with a roughly of over 200 pips on that one. So congratulations to everyone who are taking advantage of this opportunity. So with that being said here, how do we intend to manage our positions for today? Well, as usual, you know how we do it here in this community. As soon as price action moves significantly well in our favor, we want to be moving our stop losses to secure the position against any sudden pullback that might likely happen along the line. And with the current market situation here, I'm of the opinion that the second entry around the $81.52 area seems most appropriate to move all stop losses to anywhere around that area seems quite right. But take note that you want to give enough room too for price action to breathe, just in case we have retracements before the trend continuation happens. So let's ensure that our positions are well secured. Now, with a well secured position, what is going to be our plans for today, and how do we intend to manage the US All Spot? Well, if we look at this structure closely, remember what I said here yesterday as regards to the multiple rejection of the $82.85 area, and I told you that we might likely be seeing a transition into a reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure. So we had a visual representation of something like this, if you remember vividly, and we were using the $82.20 area as the neckline of that reversal pattern, where we said a breakdown retest of that structure will welcome selling opportunities, and this is exactly what has happened in the last 24 hours, giving us that bearish momentum we are currently enjoying. Now, with the way things are going since the beginning of this week, it's quite clear that we have lower highs in this particular market, which further emphasize the strength of the sellers. And you know, when we start noticing lower highs, it's a clear sign that a bearish momentum is gradually building up behind the scenes. And when we connect the series of lower highs, we have this beautiful descending trend line, which you can see on your screen right now. So this trend line here is going to be one of the major factors or reference point we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. And what this simply means is that as long as price remains below that descending trend line, we shall feel comfortable in our sell position, and of course look out for more opportunities like patterns and structures that support the idea of selling. Then, with that being confirmed right here, the next question we should be asking is, what is this bearish momentum all about? Is it a retracement of the impulsive move that we saw last week, or are we going to be seeing a sell-off at this point in time? Now, one of the levels I want to be using to guide my trading activities going forward is the $80 MAC. Remember, we finally saw the breakout of the $80 MAC last week Thursday, as we saw here, breaking out of that structure. And from a technical standpoint, whenever price action breaks out of a key structure such as the $80 MAC here, we expect that at some point in time price will come back into that structure to retest it, probably in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So initially I had my TP target for the sell position around the $80 MAC, but I would like to extend it a little further to capitalize on this momentum, just in case we have a breakdown retest of that structure. I want to be adding more position to my existing trade, so I will extend my TP target on that one. Then I want to see how the market is going to react to the $80 MAC. That is, if it comes anywhere close to that area. Now, you know, from a technical standpoint, like I just said earlier, that when price breaks out of a key structure such as this, we might likely be seeing some profit-taking activities, which would reflect on the chart as a retracement back into the structure that was broken last week, where the appearance of buy pressure or a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom, head and shoulder, whichever one that comes up, will likely incite an uptrend continuation. So we are going to hold on and see how far this sell momentum will go. Is it going to start forming reversal patterns around the $80 MAC? And if it does, we want to get ready to buy. And if it breaks down the $80 mark, then we would want to be looking out for more opportunities to add to our sell positions, like a breakdown retest of that structure. So that is how we are going to be looking at this bearish momentum at this point in time. And if price does not drop into the $80 mark at all, and instead we begin to see some buy pressure resume around this area, then we will be considering buying too as well. But remember, price still remains below that descending trend line, hence we would need some significant confirmation that truly buyers have come to stay. And if we are going to be buying anywhere around this area, that is, if price does not drop down, then I would want to see a breakout of that descending trend line before I want to start considering buying this asset. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates if there is any interesting setup or significant structure that comes in along the line. So let's see how the market will play out going forward. Ensure all your sell positions are well secured. Move your stop losses accordingly. Lock in that position and let's see what happens here. So if price gets into the $80 mark, we will see how price reacts to that structure to determine what our next line of action will be on this one. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10-15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever, and you can as well use that time to mark out those levels on your chart. So I'll just zoom them out a little bit so that you can see things clearly. Hello, Bill. How are you this morning? Good morning to you, and glad to have you around. I see your comment. All right. So, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're all on the same page, that what I said so far has been quite explanatory. So, we shall be moving into the next financial asset for today. So the next asset on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD. And since the beginning of the week, we have been buying this asset. In fact, price action transitioned into what we just expected yesterday. Now, let's run through what really happened in this market since the beginning of the week. What did we see? What incited the idea of thinking of buying the GBPUSD? Now, for those who have not watched my video on the GBPUSD, please, you need to watch it so that you can have a background knowledge of how we got to this point. And educationally, it's an advantage for you as you can use it to understand how price action affects our decision making in this community. So let's run through what we saw at the beginning of the week. So yesterday morning, we saw this simple ascending trend line after connecting the series of higher lows. Remember, since last week, Thursday, we saw how price action has been finding higher lows in this particular market. Then, in addition to this trend line, we saw how price was initially confined within that range between the 1.27640 and of course the 1.27 150 level for about the first 10 to 12 hours of the beginning of this week. This is what we saw here, giving us an idea into the indecision at that particular point in time. Now, in addition to that was this continued buy pressure. We noticed around the 1.27150, which caught our attention, and the fact that this buy pressure is around above our ascending trend line was a clear signal that we might likely be going bullish. And to further buttress this, we were able to spot a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. As you will see here, we saw our price was unable to break the previous low, giving us signs that there is a potential build up in bullish momentum behind the scenes. So we had a double bottom structure. Then you know how we do it here. When we have reversal patterns like this, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify the neckline of that reversal pattern, which has given us this 1.27435. And remember what we said here yesterday, that we are going to be looking forward to buying at the breakout of that neckline, which of course will validate the potency of that reversal pattern. Then we went on to include that we will be adding more positions if price action breaks out, retest the 1.27640, and of course both of these positions were triggered. Remember, we had the first position triggered, price moved about 48 pips on that one, and the second position price moved about 25-26 pips before the bearish momentum began. And of course, if you had moved your stop loss like we always do in this community, as soon as price moves in our favor, you must have been taken out in a modest size of profit, or at a worst case scenario, break even. Now, with the current situation we have in the market, what is going to be our plans? By now, you shouldn't be in any position right now, unless you wanted to take advantage of that retest of the trend line there. But at this point in time, technically speaking, we are not in any position. But for this morning, how do we intend to manage our trades for today? So I want us to run through my commentary on the GBPUSD. For those who are with me on TradingView and Telegram platform, you will definitely have gotten this. But let's expatiate on this one, especially for those who are not. So I said here, all trades are being closed manually. All buy positions were exited with a conservative profit, as the 1.27900 region acted as a resistant level. Should this selling pressure persist, it might lead to a scenario where there is a breakdown retest of both the ascending trend line and the 1.27435 mark, creating favorable conditions for selling positions. Conversely, if there is a breakout retest of the 1.279 level, it could open up possibilities for a continuation of the uptrend. So now let's go back into the live chat and see what I was talking about there. Now, going back into the live chat, this is what I was trying to explain. Now, the first thing you will notice here is that despite the strong bullish momentum, we saw very strong engulfing bullish candle during the course of last week's trading session. We saw that as soon as price got into that psychological level at the 1.279, we begin to see selling pressure resume around that area. Now, we saw the same thing happen during the later part of the New York session yesterday, as we saw another wave of selling pressure around that area. And what this simply tells us is that buyers are struggling around that area. So every attempt by the buyers to break out of that structure has been met with strong resistance from the sellers. And at this point, we need to be very, very careful, as this continued selling pressure around this zone could turn out to be a reversal pattern that might incite a retracement or a sell-off in this particular market. So now, with this continued selling pressure around this area, I told us in the commentary that we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers too at this juncture in the market. And if we are going to be considering selling, then I want to see price slice through that descending trend, the ascending trend line, which of course also shares a confluence with that 1.27435 level to start considering selling the GBPUSD. And remember, in this kind of situation, it is very important that we remain patient, so we are not having a sell stop order below that structure, simply because we are witnessing an uptrend in this particular market. Hence, a breakdown could turn out to be a false breakdown. So we will need a confirmation that truly we have a valid breakdown before joining that bearish move. And one of the things we do to find this confirmation is to scale down into our lower time frame. It could be your 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 15 minutes time frame, to look out for signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the ascending trend line. Then at this point, we want to feel confident of joining a bearish move. And of course, this would reflect on the chart as price coming back to retest either the ascending trend line or the 1.27435 area, where continued selling pressure will be what we are looking out for to join a bearish move in this particular market. So this is how we are going to be selling the GBPUSD today. If price breaks down the ascending trend line and the 1.27435, I think we are within the seller's territory, where more potential for selling opportunities could come in if selling pressure resumes there. So that is how we are going to be selling the GBPUSD today. However, in as much as we look out for selling opportunities here, we cannot ignore the potentials the buyers also have in this particular market, considering the fact that price has been bullish for a while now. In fact, if we look at it from a short-term perspective, since last week Thursday, we have noticed higher lows in this particular market, as you will see here. And if price continues to remain above the ascending trend line, we cannot, of course, ignore the potentials the buyers to have here. Though we are yet to see a higher low, and that is one of the reasons why I will need price action to take out all the sell positions along the 1.27900 area for me to feel confident of joining any bullish move at this point. So I want to see price action slice through the 1.279 before I want to consider buying. But I also want us to take note of something here, as we can potentially take advantage of a bullish move even before the breakout of the 1.279 happens, only if we begin to see significant signals that buyers are really gaining momentum here. And one of the things we can see here to help us guide that move is when we start seeing higher highs and higher lows, breakout of the 1.2764, higher lows, then we can actually scale down to our lower time frame to look out for patterns and structures that will help us join even before the breakout of the 1.27900 happens. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates if we begin to see something like that happen at this juncture in the market. But at this point in time, we have no positions running, so we remain patient here, waiting for signals. So our center of focus for today is basically between the 1.279 and the 1.27435, where the breakout of either of these levels will give us a signal of where price action is likely going to be going for today. So let's see how this will play out here. If you have any questions whatsoever as regards to this current setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions, and you can as well use that time to mark out those levels on your chart, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide your trading activities for today. Good morning, Fred. I see your comment. Thank you for checking in on us, and trust you're having a wonderful moment out there. Thank you very much. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page here. So we shall be moving on to the next financial asset on our watch list. So the next asset on our watch list, my favorite, the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And in fact, it's quite an interesting setup we have here. Though we had some buy positions yesterday, we took advantage of over 100 pips, I think, before the bearish momentum began in this particular market. So we shall be running through what really happened since the beginning of the week and how we got to the point we are in right now. So remember, at the beginning of the week, we saw here how price action was initially ranging between the $1,946.50 level and the $1,941 area to give us an insight into the level of indecision at that particular point in time. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of range. We expect price to either break out of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or break down the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. And in fact, we saw the breakdown of the support line happened very early yesterday, though I missed out on that one as it was very, very early in this part of the world, so I was fast asleep when this happens. But for those who took advantage of that move, well done to you for being on standby to catch that one. So we saw price drop into the 1,933 area when we begin to notice continued buy pressure around this area. And as a result of this, we were getting ready to join a bullish move, and I think we did join a bullish move after spotting a simple setup on the 50 minutes time frame. So let me run through the 50 minutes time frame quickly and what led into the idea of buying. So zooming it down into the 50 minutes time frame, this is what we saw here during the live session, and I updated us on my public platforms that the continued buy pressure around this area will welcome buying opportunities above the $1,934.50 level. And remember, we capitalized on this move by adding more position at the breakout of the $1,936.40. We also added one at the breakout of the $1,938. We also added one here which was triggered, but unfortunately that one did not hold. And if you had moved your stop losses accordingly, just like we always preach in this community, you would have been taken out at a modest size of profit on that one, as we saw the bearish momentum slice through all the structure to the downside. And during my XAUUSD live monitoring window yesterday, I told us all that the potential of a bullish momentum is still very valid, based on the fact that price action coming back into this zone at the $1,933.50 level with continued buy pressure could welcome buying opportunities. So that was how we ended our XAUUSD live monitoring window yesterday. As you will see, we really did not see that bullish traction come in. So while trying to project what our plans will be like for today, I was able to identify a descending trend line after taking into consideration the nature of price action since the beginning of the week. And if you look at this closely, you will see, I think we have a couple of trend lines here. So I think we have the major one out there, and then we have the minor one right here. So you will see price has been trading below these descending trend lines on your screen, which further emphasize the characters of sellers in this particular market. I wouldn't want to say the strength of sellers simply because we are yet to find price breakdown that 1,930 level, which happens to be our key level for the week. And as long as price remains above this key level, we of course want to look out for structures and patterns that will support the idea of buying an asset. Now, looking at the structure here, we can see that despite the lower highs we saw since the beginning of this week, price is yet to break down that very important structure at the 1,930, which we set as a memory for buying power. And if you look at how price has related to the structure since last week Thursday, we saw buy pressure, we saw buy pressure here, we saw on the last trading day of last week we saw buy pressure, and you can see since the beginning of the week sellers were unable to gain that momentum to break through that structure, as you will see here. But when they now finally had the strength to break through, we saw price come here, and we are seeing something like an engulfing candle, though we can't conclude that this is an engulfing candle yet, as it still has about 6 minutes for it to close, so we never can tell yet. So but as long as price still remains above this 1930, I'm of the opinion that we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support buying. And not only if we have a breakdown of the 1930 can we start considering selling the XAUUSD at this point in time. Now, another thing I emphasized in my commentary this morning is the fact that price has been caught within a range. So there is an indecision currently going on, as we have like a $8 range right now, where price is confined between the 1930 and the 1938 level, to emphasize the level of indecision at this point. And you know how we do it in this community. When we have a flat range like this, the next thing we want to be doing is to remain patient and wait for price action to give us a signal of where it wants to be going. And the signal will come either in the form of the breakdown retest of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell, or the breakout retest of the 1938 to give us an opportunity to buy. And for the fact that price remains above the 1930, I still think that the potential of a breakout of this descending trend line, which of course also shares a confluence with the resistant line of that range, is looking more promising than selling at this point in time. But that does not mean we should negate the ideas of the potentials of sellers too as well. But if we do have a breakout retest of that as descending trend line and the 1938, then we want to be part of a bullish momentum from that area. However, if price drops below the 1930 selling pressure, then we want to join a bearish move. So let's mark these levels out, and our center of focus basically is between that range. So let's see what happens in the next couple of hours, and trust me, I will be dropping an update in that regard if anything significant comes up. So if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to this current setup or my explanation so far, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Trust me, I'm here and willing to be of help in that regard. So let's see how this will play out in the next couple of hours. So I will be chilling out for the next 10 to 15 seconds and see if there are any questions before we move on to is it the last asset for today? All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So we shall move on to the last financial asset on our watch list for today. So the next asset on our watch list for today is the USDJPY, and of course we have been profitable so far on this asset. And let's run through how the week started for us on the USDJPY. So at the beginning of the week, we had our key level situated at the 142.00 area. Remember, we had this level broken out of during last week's trading session, And then besides the 142, if you have not watched my video on the USDJPY, please do. You would understand how we got to identify this key level. Now we saw our price action was ranging between the 141.990 and then the 141.550 during the early hours of yesterday's trading session. And in fact, prior to the live session yesterday, we already witnessed a breakout of that structure. Now, I told us that we had two expectations here yesterday. One of them is, since we had the breakout of the structure, we wait for price to come back, retest the structure, then we can join the uptrend continuation, or we have our buy stop order above this area to capitalize on that move to the upside. In fact, both positions were triggered anyways. So the first one that was triggered for me here was the buy position, and with my stop loss well wide below this area, we still have the buy positions running. Then when price came back to retest the structure, it was another beautiful opportunity to add more position, had the breakout of the 142.300, which of course shares a confluence with that descending trend line we identified earlier. So it was quite a very interesting position. So till this moment, we have how many pips right now? I think if you have a position running right now, the first one is running with about 100 pips and the second one is running with about 80 pips. So we have roughly over 180 pips in profit at this point in time. Now, the next thing we want to be doing now is to move our stop losses to secure the position, and I'm of the opinion that anywhere below the 142.800 and the 142.500 seems most appropriate to secure our positions at this point in time, as we begin to see selling pressure resume around the 143.350 level. And in fact, we need to mark out that level, as we are going to be using it to guide our trading activity for today if price action happens to break out of that level. So we mark that level out. We have 143.350 level. Okay, so we are going to be looking out for more opportunities to join an uptrend continuation if price action does break out of that area. So let's see how the market will play out in the next couple of hours, that is. And then there is another support line here giving us a clue into an indecision going on at this point in time. Okay, so this is 142.950. So let's adjust this one. Okay, then okay, sorry, there's one more thing I want to include here, and that is I'm trying to see. Okay, I think we have an ascending trend line to work with. In fact, we have a couple of it right here. So since the beginning of the week, price action has been finding higher lows. So we have one right here, we have the second one right here, and we have the third one right here. So are we going to have a fourth one before the bullish trend continuation happens? So if that is going to be the case, then we might likely see some profit taking activity go on, where the breakout of the 142.950 could bring price into any of this trend line. In fact, we could still see price drop into this descending trend line. Remember, this descending trend line was broken at the 142.300. We had a descending trend line there, so price could still drop into this level before another wave of bullish momentum happens. So what we are going to be doing here, if price ever drops below the 142.950, then we are going to wait and see how the market would react to either of these trend lines. So if breakdown of this trend line happens, of this one too, then we are going to be looking at this bust up around this area to look out for reversal patterns to join an uptrend continuation. Mind you, we are also going to be looking out for reversal patterns at these levels too as well. We are going to be looking out for reversal pattern if there is any to push price to the upside from that area. So please, we want to take note of all these parameters. That is why I always encourage us to mark out these levels on the chart so that we can have a visual understanding of what we are looking out for when price finally gets into those levels. But if price does not break down the 142.950, that is this level here, and it continues to find higher highs, then we will be on standby to capitalize on an uptrend continuation at the breakout of the 143.350 level. Now, for those who have been with us in this community, you know how we take advantage of such opportunities. Since we are very profitable this week so far, we've been in a buy position, we can afford to leverage on the profit we had made so far this week to capitalize on an uptrend continuation. So we can simply have a buy stop order above the 143.350 level to join the uptrend continuation. However, if you are new here and this is going to be your first position on the USDJPY for this week, then I'm going to advise you to follow the technical expectations of a breakout retest of that range before joining the uptrend continuation. I hope I made myself very, very clear right there, because I've been getting quite a lot of questions as regards to how we want to be executing our positions at the levels we've identified. So it is much more easier for us who are profitable to capitalize on an uptrend continuation. That is why it's always good to catch that move very early so that you can still afford to place your buy stop order, risking some of the profit you had made to test waters around that area. So that is how we are going to be managing our trade on the USDJPY. Things are still looking very bullish here unless the market state otherwise, but trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. So I see a comment here from Chaticum. Chaticum, good morning to you and glad to have you around. So he's asking that if it retraces back to 132.300, which one are you talking about here? 132.300, is it not advisable for a buy trade? Okay, you mean 142.300. Of course, I think I made mention of these expectations too. And one of the things I want to be looking at here, I want to be using that ascending trend line very, very importantly. But if price comes into this area, of course, we do want to take advantage of buying opportunities only if we begin to see reversal patterns and continue buy pressure around that area. And most importantly, we want to see signs that sellers are finding it difficult to drop and even stay below the 142.300 before we can join a bullish move. So of course, we could take advantage of that move. But one thing we should also take note of is that price might not even drop that far and instead continues to find higher highs. And if that is going to be the case, then we want to be positioning ourselves ahead of the above the 143.350 to capitalize on that uptrend continuation. So I hope I clarified your inquiry there. Chaticon, please let me know in the comment section, and if you still need further clarification, please feel free to let me know. So I think it's on this note I would like to call it a day here. We were able to take on the GBPUSD, the USDJPY, XAUUSD, and of course the USOilSPOT, where we were successfully able to identify simple setup that we are going to be using to guide our trading activities for today. So I just hope that we marked out these levels on the chart, as we will be needing them as reference point to guide our trading activities for today. So it has been a wonderful moment out here, and I'm very confident that we are ready to capitalize on any potential trading opportunities during the London and the New York session. And if you have found this content helpful and useful in making your independent trading decision for today. Please support this project by clicking the like button. Your likes are very, very valuable to me, and in fact it helps the YouTube algorithm identify this video and push it to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial. I thank you in advance as you do so. Let's build this community. Let's push it to a wider audience with your likes. Thank you very much in advance as you do so. So, okay, I see your comment, Chaticom. I'm glad you found that helpful. So it's on this note, I want to wish you the best of luck today during the New York session and of course the London session. And for the XAUUSD live monitoring window, we shall kickstart by 5-10 minutes before the New York session today. So please stay tuned in. I don't have the link right now, but once the link is ready, I will be sharing it on my Telegram platform. And of course, if you are following me already on this channel, you will definitely get a notification as soon as the link is ready. So be part of the XAUUSD live monitoring window, engage in the comment section, and let's make this community lively while we continue to monitor the XAUUSD. So it's on this note, I wish you all the best of luck and looking forward to seeing you right in the comment sections of both my TradingView and Telegram platform as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.